For over a decade, the New York Giants have wandered the quarterback wastelands. Ever since Eli Manning, their last true Jedi, hung up the helmet, they've searched for a new hope. They believed Daniel Jones was the chosen one, but they were deceived. Instead of bringing balance to the franchise, he brought turnovers and pain, as he was corrupted by the Big Apple. Now, General Daboll and Commander Shane face the wrath of the Senate. Ownership. Their mission this offseason was clear. Secure the future, find the next quarterback, or face exile. The holotapes were clear. Two names lit up the galaxy, Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. And the chatter from every cantina said the Giants are going to land Sanders. But when their first pick came, they passed on Shedeur. Instead, they drafted Abdul Carter, the next Mandalorian. The whispers grew louder.
There is another.
The Giants made their move, a bold trade up to pick 25. Fans leaned in. Galactic Twitter held its breath. Surely this was the Prince of Prime's moment. Chancellor Goodell took the stage.
The 25th pick in the 2025 GFL Draft. The New York Giants select Jaxson Dart, quarterback, Ole Miss.
I know what you're probably asking yourself. Was this a mistake? Is this going to work out? Along with, who is Jaxson Dart? Well, it was a long time after, in a galaxy far, far away. Born on May 13th, 2003, in Kaysville, Utah, Jaxson Dart was immersed in a sports-oriented environment from a young age. His father, Brandon Dart, played DB for the University of Utah, providing Jaxson with early exposure to football fundamentals and a love for the game. Dart began his high school education at Roy High School, where he showcased his athletic versatility by excelling in not just football but baseball as well, earning all-state honors as a third baseman. For his senior year, he transferred to Corner Canyon High School in Draper, Utah. There he delivered a remarkable season, throwing for 4,691 yards, 67 touchdowns, and also rushing for 1,195 yards and 12 touchdowns. His performance led the team to a state championship and earned him prestigious accolades, including the 2020 Gatorade National Football Player of the Year and Max Prep's National Player of the Year. Heading into college, Jaxson Dart committed to USC for his freshman season. As a freshman, he stepped into the starting quarterback role following an injury to the incumbent starter. He demonstrated promise with his arm strength and mobility, but the team also hired a new head coach, Lincoln Riley, the same guy that coached Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts to Heisman-level seasons. Dart was excited, but soon found out Caleb Williams would also follow his coach, leaving him without the starting job. Dart entered the portal and did receive some attention, but Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin called first, about 30 minutes after Dart hit the portal. Long story short, Dart transfers to Ole Miss in 2022, and under head coach Lane Kiffin, he flourished, becoming the all-time passing leader at Ole Miss. In the 2024 season, he threw for 4,279 yards, 29 touchdowns, with a 69.3 completion percentage and a passer rating of 180.7. His collegiate career totals include 11,970 passing yards, 81 touchdowns, and 27 interceptions. Dart's leadership and performance earned him first-team All-SEC honors and solidified his reputation as a top quarterback prospect. But beyond the gridiron, Dart also excelled academically at Ole Miss. He was named to the SEC Fall Academic Honor Roll, which is during the season extra important, in 2022, 2023, and 2024, and also earned placements on the Chancellor's Honor Roll and Dean's Honor Roll multiple times. As I stated, in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Giants selected Dart with the 25th overall pick, trading up to secure him and the fifth-year option. The plan was clear. As already having Jameis as the backup and Russell Wilson as the starter, there would be no competition here. Dart was there to develop and iron out his weaknesses. If his potential is unlocked, his strong arm, deep ball accuracy, and athleticism would bring an edge to the position for the Giants that they've lacked for years. Dart is not only a respected leader that can galvanize the Giants, but he's got personality too, that will encourage the team to rally. Example number one of this is he is not shy on social media whatsoever, showing behind-the-scenes content, motivational posts, and things of that nature, which might not be that different from what a lot of other players do, but it's definitely a big change of pace from Eli Manning, who, although he was great, was definitely not the most enthusiastic one, and then Daniel Jones, who shared similar characteristics. Another example is the way he wears his eye black. As he states, it's inspired by Anakin Skywalker emulating his scar. I think this is all a breath of fresh air, as the old school Giants have fallen behind culturally. This is a great way to drive fan engagement and positivity, to show the fans who he authentically is. And you all might not care, but that's more than anything I ever knew about Daniel Jones and his personality. And I'm a huge Star Wars guy too, as you can tell. And let me tell you, if I wanted my quarterback to think like someone in the Star Wars universe, I'd want them to think like Anakin, a risk taker, a man of initiative, and improv. And when you watch him play, you can kind of see it. So what is different about Jaxson Dart? What are his greatest strengths and weaknesses? Well, to start, we got to talk about the deep ball. He ranked among the top in college football among quarterbacks when it came to deep ball accuracy in 2024. He averaged over 9.5 yards per attempt with a strong downfield placement and timing. And then his legs. He rushed for over 1,100 yards across his college career, making him a credible dual threat athlete. Not an amazing one, but it does add value to every play and potential audible situation, as you can incorporate read option, and he can make something out of a broken play. And then touchdowns, the big play. It's not just the deep ball, but he knows how to throw some touchdowns. 81 career passing touchdowns in college, and including 29 alone in 2024, which was top 10 nationally. And then passer rating, which pretty much bundles all of your passing stats into one to give you an efficiency rating. And Dart posted a 180.7 rating in 2024, which was one of the highest in the SEC. And then lastly, for the tangible strengths, we have ball placement in the red zone. He's known for fitting it into tight windows inside of the 20-yard line and taking those chances to try to score some touchdowns. And he has very few red zone interceptions, so he knows how to do it well. But how about the intangible strengths? We are talking about quarterbacks after all. And when you talk about quarterbacks, you can't have a conversation about that without talking about leadership. And that's a good thing for Jaxson Dart, because his teammates always gravitated towards him as the leader. Coaches always noted him as an alpha, and he was a respected voice in the locker room, and that's something you need out of the quarterback. When it came to film study, he was not shy when it came to that, as a quarterback should be. And then resilience. I want to mention how he got replaced at USC, and he still managed to make the most out of an opportunity and go succeed somewhere else, whereas a lot of guys may have crumbled under a situation like that. And then finally, coachability. He is a quarterback. It's all about decision making. And Lane Kiffin says he is one of the most mature quarterbacks that he's ever coached, that he takes feedback well and adjusts quickly. Among his tangible and intangible strengths, the ones that stand out to me the most are his effectiveness with the deep ball, his precision and aggressiveness in the red zone, and then how everyone seems to look at him as a leader with confidence. And all these traits signal to me that he does have a little bit of that Anakin Skywalker killer instinct, always going for the big play, trying to get it all at once, striking in the red zone when given the opportunity, and not afraid to use his legs either. That is someone that when things are going wrong for the team, they are going to look to him to figure out a way to get them out of it with some aggressive play. But how about his weaknesses? Let's start off with the stats. Early on in his college years, he was definitely turnover prone. Inconsistent with ball security, 11 interceptions in 2022, but he has since improved, but it is still a risk to keep in mind. Completion percentage under pressure, this is a big one. While he does excel in a clean pocket, his completion percentage dips significantly when he's pressured or flushed to his left rather than his right. Then, intermediate accuracy has some inconsistencies. While he can handle the short throws and he's got some talent with the deep ball, that intermediate accuracy seems to be something that is always underappreciated, as he will occasionally miss routes that break at the 10 to 20 yard range due to mostly mechanical reasons. Next, the sack rate. Although he does try to get out of every bad situation, that can lead to holding on to the ball too long at times, which leads to unnecessary sacks, which is a loss of yards rather than just getting rid of it and living to see another down. Like I said, this is just part of trying to extend every play. And then finally, limited experience in a pro-style offense. People always talk about Lane Kiffin's offense and how they run a spread system. He'll need some time to adjust to the NFL concepts, but it's a good thing he's going to be sitting when it comes to that. Now, how about his intangible weakness? We'll build off something we talked about already, the hero ball mentality, trying to hold on to the ball too long, trying to make something out of nothing too often, leading to risky decisions or unnecessary hits that could limit his future. Inconsistent mechanics under duress, as we stated, when he's under pressure or flushed left, his footwork gets sloppy and he throws with his upper body, which can lead to inaccurate passes that get picked off or not completed. These qualities will only get exposed more in the NFL. So that's who Jaxson Dart is as a prospect, and that's his potential. But we know it's just as important the team that's put around him. And also the coaching staff, Brian Daboll, the offensive guru. This is going to be his opportunity to grow his quarterback that he has selected with the Giants, not Daniel Jones. So what is his vision for the offense? How is Jaxson Dart going to fit into this, and have the Giants done enough to support him in doing so? So to start that off, we're just going to break down Brian Daboll's offense. First, he puts an emphasis on pre-snap motion and misdirection. He loves doing this to create confusion amongst the defense and provide his quarterback with clearer reads. It's also designed to exploit mismatches and enhance some of the play action stuff he likes to do. And then how about the run game? Well, he likes to use QB runs and also has shifted to a gap-based run scheme with the addition of Carmen Bracillo. And this is expected to enhance the effectiveness of the ground attack and also set up the passing game. Daboll also never lets his QB's mobility go to waste, as we've seen in Buffalo, even with Daniel Jones running read options and using bootlegs to get the QBs in better position to take off or read the field. And then next, this is something that we haven't been able to implement since Brian Daboll has gotten here, and that's a vertical passing game. Like I said, contrary to what the Giants have done recently, Daboll wants to throw the ball downfield set up by the run. But the offensive line and Daniel Jones, also limited receiving weapons, have limited this in his time here. But with a clear intention to improve the run game, I see these deep shots becoming a lot more common, and that would change this offense entirely. And then finally, versatility. We've always heard how complex this playbook is. It's due to its variations designed to adapt to defenses for each play, which is a shame because we probably never got to see a lot of that made to use, as we couldn't even run our base offense effectively the past few years. But I think Dart's skill set will certainly open this up more than Daniel Jones did. Not as much as Josh Allen, though, obviously. But if he's just learning this first year, how is Brian Daboll going to maximize that when he needs to make sure the starter Russell Wilson is also prepared? So this is his plan for how he's going to make Jaxson Dart's first year more than just a benched learning year. He's going to give him unpredictable practice scenarios. Dart will be placed in various practice situations to test his adaptability and decision-making under pressure. And then also post-practice workouts with additional sessions focused on refining his mechanics, understanding the defensive schemes he's going up against in the NFL, and just overall mastering the playbook. And then finally, as we've seen with Daboll, and this is also with Shane, they have put veterans around him, Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, two very different guys, but also fairly good at what they've done. I mean, I know Jameis has, a spotty win record at best, but when it comes to being aggressive, he certainly knows how to do it. So learning from these experienced quarterbacks and coaches could accelerate his growth and readiness for year two. So, with all this being said, what do I think? Is he the chosen one? Will he restore balance to the Giants? All right. Real talk. Was this a mistake? Is this going to work out? Well, I think it will hit. And there's 3 reasons for that. Number 1, he can sit and develop. He can work on these weaknesses and make the most of his time without any college classes or anything like that to distract him. He's going to be able to put all of his focus and dedication into the sport of football, and it's going to be more than he's ever had in his entire life. So you would expect this to be the biggest step of growth, although we can say this for a lot of guys. But with 2 veterans in front of him, I think it's safe to say he's not going to need to step out onto the field in the next season. And then next, the organization is putting a much better team around him than we've put around Daniel Jones. This was something I've complained about with Daniel Jones, and when people would criticize him, that there was not enough of an emphasis on the lackluster receiving weapons or the terrible offensive line or even a bad defense altogether. But going into this year, the offensive line has been improved. It's not great, but it's been improved. The weapons have been much improved. Malik Neighbors, Jalen Hyatt is going to have a new chance with a new quarterback, and Theo Johnson, Tracy, the addition of Cam Scadaboo to the running game should all help a lot. And then obviously the defense is looking very, very good heading into this season. But finally, I want to mention this above all else. He brings a more aggressive nature that the fan base is going to be much more willing to live with as long as he goes down swinging. There is enough talent that if he gets the most out of his rookie year learning, he could catch teams off guard his first year and make some noise as a top 15 quarterback. I think beyond that is dependent on the organization filling out the rest of the offensive line and adding some wide receiver help. But I would say that situation is definitely closer to his ceiling. He has the talent and he has good intangibles too, but they're not great. And I do think it's fair to question when a team selects a future QB who isn't an elite talent, because your baseline is just going to be a little bit lower and your ceiling is definitely going to be lower. And whether the team is great or not, they're at the mercy of the QB just as much as he is at theirs. And with average QBs getting top dollar, I always ask myself, why wouldn't you try to maximize that money and pay it towards an elite difference maker at the most impactful position in the sport? But we have seen a fair split of QB and roster heavy teams do damage in the playoffs. You know, he still struggles under pressure, doesn't have a top 5 arm in the NFL or athleticism, and the processing is a question. But the traits he has are good traits. The arm is great, and he's a good athlete and shows potential to be evasive in the pocket. And those are some of the main physical qualities that make up an elite quarterback. But that's what it depends on. If he's ever going to be more than a Derek Carr or a Kirk Cousins, he needs to gain some elite poise under pressure, like a guy like Joe Burrow. Even though the odds are stacked against him to do something like that, I think it is within the cards for him to develop into an elite quarterback if all goes correctly, and that's a big if. Good thing is, the Giants are doing everything they can to give Dart the best chance to succeed. We may need to wait a while, but I'm excited to see what Jaxson Dart can bring to the New York Giants. Some playoff wins, maybe even a conference championship, or a Super Bowl? Okay. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's not all on him. It's a team sport. And no matter how great he can be, he still needs the support. Even if he is the chosen one, without that and proper training, he will never restore balance to the franchise.